Good afternoon, guys. It's Workin, bringing you a quick update on Bitcoin. Hope you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. We're looking at Bitcoin to the US dollar. This is the one-day chart on Coinbase. And last time we spoke, guys, Bitcoin had broken up out of the wedge here. I told you, even though this was a beautiful looking breakout here, even though obviously this was very bullish, I told you the last time we spoke, guys, it looked like Bitcoin was kind of starting to fizzle out here. In other words, while this was a bullish breakout, there's no question about it, guys. It's an extremely bullish breakout. And while I still do believe that now that we've had a daily candle opening and closing above this zone here, I do believe that solidifies the, that put the last nail in the bear's coffin, as I discussed last time. In other words, any hopes of coming back down to a new low, any hopes of delaying this this bull market, guys, I think was put to bed with this breakout here. Again, just my opinion, not financial advice or anything at all, but I do believe this solidifies the bull market. That being said, we've been overdue for a larger correction for quite some time. And the question was this thing going to be able to continue to the upside to that $9,500, $9,600 target we've been looking for up here? And right now, that has yet to be confirmed. And if I zoom in here on the daily chart, guys, we did take out yesterday's low, which was at about 86.34, at least on Coinbase. Let's see what it was exactly about. 86.11. I take that back. It was 86.11 on Coinbase. We've now taken that out. We had price drop down to what were we at? About 85.45. So that, that again does suggest we are getting a little bit of weakening in the market here. It did not get bought up very quickly. I'm not overly concerned about it just yet. If we look at this chart, guys, we can see that the area of resistance that we need to see flip over and start acting as support is at approximately 8,400. And by the way, guys, I switched this. If you guys have been watching my last videos, I never want to do a bait and switch. I know a lot of analysts, guys, they'll put one thing and then forget they said it. This number was at 8,450 on my last few videos. This little this line we have here. The reason I had it at 8,450 was because that was the top of this prior swing high here. So that was kind of the area we were looking for. But looking at this prior order structure, now that we've had the breakout, the area that was acting as resistance with this order structure here was right at about 8,400. It was actually just below that at about 83.88, I believe it was. So yeah, which I'm not going to put 83.88 on there, guys. So we'll use 84 as a good psychological. But I just want to always clarify what my charts are doing, because I don't ever want you to think that I'm trying to I'm switching around my charts from one to another and trying to go back on something that I had said prior. And I'll never do that, guys. I'll certainly never be 100% right, not even close to that, but I will always be 100% truthful with you guys. So the reason I switched this down to 8,400, guys, was because this was, now that we've had the breakout, this was our confirmed area of resistance right at about 8,400. That's the area that I need to start acting as support if and when it does end up breaking down to that zone. And if it does break down into this zone, guys, again, I pointed this out last time, even if we break below 8,400, down to and including approximately 81.50, guys, I'm not going to get too concerned about it. Now, if we do break below 81.50, then I'm going to start to get concerned that maybe we're starting to come into that larger correction, that 35 to 45% correction that Bitcoin has been famous for anytime it's ever gone parabolic like this. Now, again, doesn't mean it has to happen now. Just means that the probability is likely. The probability is in favor of a larger, 35 to 45% correction. That being said, we are at the start of a new bull market, guys, and FOMO is a funny thing, guys. Again, I've always said if, the only thing consistent about crypto is that it consistently surprises, and it certainly could surprise now. So we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. But as of right now, the critical area that I'm watching, I know I pointed this out last time, guys. If we go pull our fib extension out, we can see that that golden pocket, the area between the 618 and the 65, is literally sitting right where price is. In other words, price failed to break up above decisively. Again, decisively, that's what we were looking for. It's wicked up past the 618 here. There's no question about it. But it's failed to decisively break up above the 618 or even break above the golden pocket here. So, until we get a decisive break above the 618, and again, by decisive, I mean a daily candle opening and closing above that 618. Until that does end up happening, guys, I'm going to look at this as possibly a stalled market, and it may just start consolidating here. We'll have to wait and see kind of how this plays out. But the new range that I'm watching very, very closely is going to be obviously possibly this prior swing high, but really breaking above this 618 fib level here decisively. In other words, a daily candle opening and closing above about 8805 would be the 618. It would actually have to take out about 8900 to take out the golden pocket. But any close, even if we have a daily candle opening and closing above 88.5, I'm going to start to get bullish and start to believe that we could take that another kick up, which would take us around 95 to 9600, possibly as high as 10,000. But I'm going to be watching 95 to 9600 as the first area of possible resistance if we do clear that zone. Looking at our indicators, guys, we are still showing bearish divergence on the daily RSI, bearish divergence on the daily MACD. So yes, this does suggest we should get a larger correction. Again, I think it could be 35 to 45%, though, even though that doesn't have to happen, certainly doesn't have to happen. And can we get a small retracement? In other words, can price jump down here and bounce or off right around 7,200? Yes, I think 7,200 would be the bull's last stand to prevent a larger breakdown. Why do I say that? I say that because that's where we found support here on these last two daily candles prior to as price was consolidating here. That's really where it found support. It didn't really decisively break below 7,200. That was the area of resistance here. Again, if we're just looking at the body, not the wick, that was resistance here. Resistance turned to support right here before price came up, tested it one more time at about 7,600 and then took off. So that's the area I'm going to be watching very closely, 7,200. If 7,200 does end up breaking down, guys, I think it's going to be a fairly quick drop to 6,750, if not 6,500, in my opinion. And that would be fairly generous, guys. We could see that larger correction down to about the $6,000 area. Again, if that larger correction does come into play. But for now, the two areas I'm watching, guys, as I said, the top of that golden pocket, which is about 88, 8900. I need to see a daily candle opening and closing at least 8800. To the downside, I'm watching 8400. Anything that penetrates 8400 is going to severely get my attention. If we do penetrate 8150, then I'm going to start to get fairly bearish in the short term. Overall, though, don't get me wrong. Overall, I'm extremely bullish on this market. Overall, guys, I think that we have confirmed that the bottom is likely in and that Bitcoin has officially started its bull run. Checking volume sitting at about 26.5 billion, still fairly strong, guys. A little bit of a pullback from where it was at about 34, right around 34 billion, 33 billion ish, but still fairly strong volume overall, no question about it. Let's check longs and shorts. Longs, had a nice little rise here, trying to chase price here, kind of have flattened out here. So longs are outpacing shorts, not too significantly. Shorts are fairly stagnant, slight incline here in shorts as price has gone up here, but nothing too significant at all. So yeah, nothing really. Don't want to read too much into longs and shorts as right now. It's not really showing us much of anything. Checking well, that's not the weekly chart. That is the daily chart. Checking the daily chart, guys. Again, obviously very bullish setup, well above the 8-day EMA here, guys. So just nothing bearish about this, guys. Just extremely bullish, as you guys know. Let's pull out to the weekly. Looking at the weekly. Again, nothing but bullish. Getting a little bit of a bearish spinning top here on the weekly chart here, guys. Could suggest possibly topping out, but we've seen this kind of thing before. We're still very early in the week, so again, I don't want to read too much into it. The main thing I'm seeing on the weekly chart here, we have now had the weekly 21-week EMA crossing above the 55-week EMA. It's an extremely bullish setup, guys. So we now have the 8-week EMA above the 21-week EMA, above the 55-week EMA. Nothing but bullish here. So how would I play Bitcoin, guys? I would, if you're an investor, I'd just continue to dollar cost average in. Whether you do that weekly, whether you do that monthly, bi-weekly, however you do it, I would slowly dollar cost average in, guys. I definitely would be buying the dips until we get that stronger reversal. I'd have your stop loss tight. But if price does come back down, I'm a buyer between 84, laddering in between 84 and 81.50. As I said before, guys, I'm going to be a little looser on my stop loss here, guys, just because I do believe the FOMO is so real. I'd probably have my stop loss just below that $7,200 zone at about 71.50. I know that's not a tight stop loss at all, guys, but again, until we do break that until we do break this bullish momentum, guys, you got to go with the trend. The trend is your friend until it does break. Pulling back out on the weekly, we can see that we're well overbought on the weekly, guys, and every time we've been this overbought in the past, we have had a larger breakdown here, guys. Now, it can go a little bit higher. We've seen it go a little bit higher than this, but it's always been followed by a pretty sharp, I mean, you can see these peaks. We haven't had any real consolidation where it is now. It either continues up or it gets a pretty sharp decline here, and that's also, we can see that's what we've seen on price here. So, but the last time we were in this zone here, guys, was, again, back in December, and of course, we had a pretty strong correction, obviously. Coming back here on October the 30th, again, we had a pretty strong correction from about 78 all the way down to about 55, and then again on August the 28th, pretty strong correction from about 48 down to about 3,000. Let's see, that was, yeah, August 28th. And we had a similar thing back here on June the 5th, where we were at, this is back in 2017, where we were at about 3,500 and corrected down to about 1,930. So you can see anytime we've been this overbought, we've had a fairly significant correction. Again, doesn't mean we can't continue up here to the upside here for another kick up, but overall, it does look like we will have at that larger, you know, probably 35, maybe 45% correction. Again, doesn't mean it has to happen. History does not have to repeat itself, but it often does. So we'll have to wait and see kind of what happens here, guys. But again, overall, until we get that larger correction, guys, I'm going to be watching for it anywhere between, obviously, its current price point, and if we do break above that that $8,800 to $8,900 range, then I'll be looking for it right around $9,500 to $9,600. All right, let's quickly knock out some altcoins. Looking at EOS, last time we spoke, EOS was just breaking out of this wedge here, guys. It was sitting up above, I think it was sitting around 630-ish, somewhere thereabouts, guys. And I told you if we did clear the top of this wedge here, guys, the next major support, or excuse me, the next major area of resistance was right between $7 and $7.25. Price did break up here initially, did find that resistance right at almost $7, almost to the dollar, and then found a little bit of resistance here for about, I think, 12 hours, and then just took off and completely took out this area, this $7 range. If we go over here and look at volume on EOS is exactly the kind of thing you'd like to see on a major breakout, guys. Sitting at about 5.6 billion on the day. I don't remember the last time we've had that much volume on EOS. Remember, typical average volume on EOS was between about 2.5 to 3.5 billion. Every now and then we'd hit 4 very briefly and jump right back down, guys. So this is a significant increase in volume for EOS. This is very bullish. We're pulling out here on the that's Bitcoin. Pulling out here on the weekly chart. We can see that we took out the last major area, this last major high, which is at about, at least on the weekly chart, which is at about $6.80, guys. We took out our $7, as we said, our $7 resistance here, and then it just, I told you, right above that $7.25 mark, guys, there was just no resistance between $7 and the first area of slight resistance. If we pull back here to the daily chart, we can see it, and this has been marked on my chart for quite some time, you guys know. The first area was right about 815, and 815 acted as a little bit stronger resistance than I would have anticipated here. Now, I think because Bitcoin is fizzling out, that likely put the brakes on EOS breaking out here just a little bit here. We can see that we've corrected from, we had a little bit of bearish divergence showing on the daily MACD and RSI, which has now been cleared. It didn't correct nearly as much as I thought it would. I thought we would get a correction down here to about 715 to 720, 725-ish. It only corrected to about, what was the low here? Let's see, it corrected to right about 760. So that's, yeah, that was a very, very bullish, I mean, not much of a correction at all. Let's look at the chart here and see if we go from our swing low here straight to our swing. Yeah, not even to the 236. So yeah, very bullish with the EOS so far, guys. We'll have to wait and see if this is a larger correction to come, or if this thing does. Let me zoom in here to the 4-hour, or if this thing can take another kick up. Now, on the smaller time frames here, we did take out this prior low. We did have on this last candle here, we did have a little bit more of a breakdown here. So let's wait and see. Right now, yeah, obviously this is a confirmed resistance now at about 820, let's call it. So if we can get above, we can get a 4-hour candle opening and closing on smaller time frames. So just a 4-hour opening and closing above 820. I do think that's going to take us to our next area of resistance, which is right around between 840 and 875. If we split the difference, that's right around 850-ish. We can see 850, right around 850 is where support turned into resistance before our major area, our major breakdown. Now again, I'm looking at the body, not so much at the wicks here. We can see there's a definite small little supply zone here. We got a lot of wicks in here, which does signify very likely a lot of sell orders sitting between about 840 and 875. If we can clear 875, get above 875, guys, really if we can clear, if we can get a daily candle opening and closing above 850, we'll call it. At that point, I'm going to believe that we could very easily, there's just not a lot of resistance up above until we hit about $10. Between $10 and $10.70 is where I would expect to find the next area of major resistance. But really above about $8.50 to $8.70, if we can clear that $8.70 area, guys, there's just not much resistance between that $8.70 and $10. Zooming out on the weekly certainly giving us a lot more perspective here, guys, showing us that area of resistance between 840 and 875, and also showing us what was resistance back here right at that $7 range needs to start acting as support. So if we do end up retracing here, guys, I'm definitely a buyer, certainly between $7 and $7.25. I'd expect a very strong bounce off that zone. Obviously, we're leading up to the Block 1 announcement on June 1st, just to mix a little fundamentals with TA here. So I'm very, very bullish on EOS here in the next couple weeks, certainly the next week and a half. Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see kind of how this ends up playing out, guys. It really depends on that June 1st announcement. Now, typically, anytime you've got a, anytime you've got an announcement, it's, it oftentimes underwhelms and it causes the price to fall off the board after that announcement on June 1st. Depending on what the announcement is, guys, I know they've tampered down expectations quite a bit. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. This does have the potential, in my opinion. I know Block 1's been buying up a lot of RAM. So I know Block 1's been buying up, sorry, I had to pause the video there for a second, guys. Anyway, I was saying, I know Block 1's been buying up a lot of RAM here, guys. So that would suggest, we would suggest some possible bullish news here on June the 1st, and that could, depending on what it is, especially if it's kind of an under-promise, over-deliver type thing, that could just take the lid off of this thing. We'll have to wait and see kind of how this ends up playing out here, guys. So, yeah. Anyway, I don't like to admit too much fundamentals with TA. The bottom line is, guys, if we can clear 875, next area of resistance is going to be 810 to 870, and I do think, EOS definitely has the ability to go parabolic. Do I think that it can split from Bitcoin if Bitcoin corrects further? Really, that would depend. I don't think that is going to happen just yet. I think that would depend on the Block 1 announcement, and it'd have to be a pretty strong announcement to do that. For now, guys, again, I'm a buyer anywhere between 7 and 725. If you're dollar cost averaging in for the long haul, I still do believe EOS is one of your stronger coins, certainly worth dollar cost averaging into. All right, that wraps EOS. Let's quickly look at Binance Coin, BNB, one of the stronger coins and one of the very strong coins in 2019 here. Now, BNB is, as you guys know, I've called out my targets here in the past. Because it's finally broke up to all-time highs, guys, I've been watching this ascending support line here, which has acted as a nice area of resistance in the past. What we're starting to see now with a little bit of a retracement in Binance Coin is one of those coins that did not break out with Bitcoin. This is why I've always said it's a very good hedge against Bitcoin here. It didn't break out with Bitcoin. It had been breaking out the entire time and actually had retraced a little bit with Bitcoin's breakout here, and seems to be finding support. If we zoom in here on the daily chart, guys, we're finding resistance right here at about 32.40, and what was resistance seems to be flipping over into support here. Now, if we end up taking off from here again, that'd be a very, very bullish sign, not only on price, but our ascending support line here, our ascending resistance line here seems to also be flipping into support. We'll have to wait and see kind of how that plays out, guys, but obviously that would be an extremely bullish sign in the trajectory of this thing that presumably could only last for so long. So watching this thing, guys, very, very bullish. It has been hitting my targets. As you guys know, I've been looking at, because it's at an all-time high, you pull your fib extension out to try to figure out targets, guys, and it has hit each one on the way up here, guys. Boom, hit the on the way up here, hit perfectly the 236. Boom, hit the 382. Boom, hit the 50. Boom, hit the 618 here right inside the golden pocket, and boom, hit the 786. So I mean, this has just been Beautiful for picking targets for BNB. The next target up here, if we just logically follow it up here, would be the 8865, and that would bring us to about 3713. That being said, guys, I mean, we are seeing, I pointed this out last time on BNB, we are seeing some bearish divergence on the RSI here, guys. And if we zoom in here, even on a tiny little micro level on the RSI, from this latest tiny little swing high to this little swing high here, price obviously created a higher high, RSI created a lower high here. So again, a little bit of a pullback here. I'm not too concerned with it here on the micro level. That's just kind of more for your information. I'm more concerned with this larger RSI, with this, larger bearish divergence that was created from the swing high on April 20th to the swing high on May the 21st. Swing high on May the 24th. We have this other swing high. So yeah, this would suggest a larger breakdown. Does it have to happen? No. But the area that I'd be looking to buy, and I've pointed this out for, excuse me, guys, let me get a drink of water. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Throat is dry. So the areas that I'm going to be looking to buy. If you're an investor, I'd slowly start dollar cost averaging in right around 29.40. That was where resistance flipped to support right here. I'd be looking at 29.40. If we do continue to the downside, I'm going to be watching very closely this 21-day EMA right here. If we get a decisive break below that 21-day EMA, which currently sits at about 28.9, let's call it 29. If we get a decisive break below, in other words, a daily candle opening and closing below that, I do think we're very likely going to have a little bit of a larger correction, guys, and that might bring us down here to 25.25. But until we do break that, guys, I'm looking at two areas to buy. I'm looking, I'm looking at, if I'm looking for a bounce, I do think it's going to bounce right around 31.38. I think that'd be a nice little scalp, but it would be just that. If we do end up coming lower here, I think it would be just that, a very, very quick scalp. I mean, a very quick scalp, maybe to 1-2%, guys. But very likely, again, guys, the first area I'd be looking to dollar cost average in would be right around 29. Really, it's going to be about 28.70. That'd be the first area I'd be looking for a bounce, about 28.70. If that breaks down, guys, then again, I think we're very likely coming down to about 25.25. 25.25, I'd go in fairly heavy with BNB if I'm interested in BNB. I'd go in very heavy with BNB, about 25.25, guys, looking for a very strong bounce right off of that zone. But overall, if you're dollar cost averaging in for the long haul, guys, and you're not a trader, then by all means, I think this is one of the strongest coins. I think it's got one of the strongest fundamentals out there, guys, and I do think this is an excellent long-term hold. All right, flipping over to BAT Basic Attention Token, guys, you can see that 34 to 35 has acted as a decent base here, guys. Wicked below it here briefly, but no decisive break. So yeah, 34 to 35 cents, guys, has acted as a decent support. We've now broken back above the 21-day EMA here, guys, but we have yet to have a decisive break above. A decisive break, remember, is the daily candle opening and closing. We've had this daily candle close. We've had this daily candle open, but we have yet to have a daily candle both opening and closing above 21-day EMA. If this candle does close above the 21-day EMA, guys, again, technically that would be a bullish sign. Even though we are seeing some weakness here, we'll have to wait and see kind of how this plays out. If you're interested in BAT, guys, as a trader, I think you can probably do better, guys. I think it's a bit of a risky play. However, if you are trading BAT, I think I'm a buyer between 34 and 35 cents, looking for a decent bounce off of that zone, but I'd get in and I'd get out right around, very likely, if we do end up dropping down between 34 and 35 cents, I'd get immediately out between about 36 and 37 cents. So again, very, very quick scalp to the upside, guys. If we do end up taking out this prior high of this little structure here, this yesterday's daily candle, in other words, if we take out about 39, if we can take out 39, I think there's a good chance that we continue to the upside here, but I do think we're going to find resistance between, as I've pointed out before, between about 41 and 44 cents, guys. There's a major supply zone here between 41 and 44 cents. A lot of sell orders, very likely. You can see wick, broken up, wick, broke right back down here, guys, numerous times. So very likely a lot of sell orders. If we can get north of 44 cents, guys, I think sky can be the limit on BAT. North of 44 cents, guys, I think could take us up much higher. Until then, I'm going to be watching this zone down here. If we do break below 34 cents decisively, again, by decisively, I mean a daily candle opening and closing below, could be a quick drop to 32. I'm not sure 32 does hold this time. It could. And if you're again looking for a quick scalp, you may get a little bounce off that zone, but I think very likely this thing may end up dropping down lower, and I do believe BAT would be a must buy between about 28 and 26 cents, really 27.5 to 27.9. Between 28 and 26 cents, I think BAT is a must buy. Do I think it's definitely coming down here? Not saying that at all. If Bitcoin does correct, though, I absolutely think that this is likely the target if Bitcoin has that larger correction, somewhere between, as I said, 28 to 26 cents. All right, quickly looking at Ethereum. Ethereum actually, we broke out of this little, if I zoom in here, we broke out of this little wedge here, guys. We did have that bear trap we talked about last time, complete U-turn, came back up here, came to the upside, and what we're looking at here is a possible double top. Excuse me. We can see that we're hitting back up. If I zoom out here on the daily, we can see that we're coming back out and we're hitting this major supply zone here between 280 and 300. This again is I've talked about this in the past, guys. This is an extremely strong zone, guys. It's going to take a lot of volume to push price up above 300. That being said, if and when price does end up getting above 300, guys, there's a lot of blue sky between 300 and really 420. You may get a little bit of resistance right here at about 380, but really really 420 to 440, guys. There's just a lot of blue sky between 300 and in that area, guys. So, but we do need to clear 300 first. That's going to be no easy task. If we zoom out here to the weekly chart, you can kind of get a little bit of a better idea, guys. The resistance area that's sitting here between 380 and 300. Weekly chart, possibly looking like a, we've got a little bit of a spinning top, which kind of is a neutral candle as of now. We're still very, very early in the week, though, so I don't want to read too much into that. That being said, guys, does look like it may be fizzling out. I do think this is going to be very dependent on Bitcoin. Bitcoin continues up. I think Ethereum just rages. Bitcoin starts to correct, guys, and we could quickly find Ethereum back down here at 230-ish. Somewhere in this zone at 220 to 230 has established itself as a decent base. I would expect it to act as support if it does end up breaking down. Zooming back into the daily, looking at the RSI, guys, again, we are kind of double topping in price. We've definitely created a lower high with the RSI, MACD, also a lower high. Bearish divergence, guys, does suggesting again some weakening. Weakening in price action, weakening in momentum, and would suggest at least a temporary correction down to, I would guess, about, let me zoom back in here, down to, I'd look for a correction somewhere around 250-ish. If this thing does end up correcting somewhere around 250, I'd expect a decent bounce off of 250, and then maybe taking another shot at 280. If 250 does break down, guys, as I said, I think it'll be a very, very quick drop down to at least 230, and I would expect a nice bounce between 230, maybe wicking down to 220, but then a nice little bounce off of that zone. We can see that zone coincides nicely with the 21-day EMA here, guys. So again, this suggesting a decent bounce right off that zone. All right, looking at Litecoin. Litecoin, again, one of the most bullish coins in 2019, guys, no question about it. We told you last time we spoke, guys, I told you the make or break level was going to be 110. Why 110? Because 110 is what acted as support all throughout 2018 here, and then price just completely broke down. What was support often acts as resistance. The highest it had gone last time was 107. Price came up here, blasted through 110, guys. I told you if we did take out 110, then we were going to very quickly rise. The next major area of resistance was a 125. Price did just that. Very quickly rose up, hit about, actually, it might have hit almost right to the dollar. Let's see, what was the high here? Nah, not quite, 122. So hit about 122 as the high, then got rejected, guys, and now we're sitting at about 113. I need to see 110 on the retracement here. I need to see 110 start to act as support. If 110 does start to act as support, guys, I would expect, excuse me, I'd be very, very bullish. I want to see it does. I want to see at least test 110 one more time, though, knowing that if 110 does break down, guys, I think it'd be a very quick drop down to at least $100, if not down here to about $91, $92, this area right here. Excuse me, guys, my throat's killing me. Stand by. Okay, sorry about that, guys. All right, so yeah, if we do break below 110, as I said, I think it'll be a quick drop to at least $100, if not $91 to $92. This area of resistance then turn to support back here. I would expect it to act as support again. That being said, that's also going to bring us down to our 21-day EMA here. If the 21-day EMA has a decisive break, again, by decisive I mean a daily candle opening and closing below the 21-day EMA, I think very likely we're going to get a quick drop to possibly this ascending support line that has been intact here. I would look for a decent bounce off that zone, guys, but if I look at just basic, if I ignore this ascending support line here and I just look at basic support on price here, guys, I'd be looking at a drop all the way down to about $73 to $74. what was acting as support right back here, guys, at $73 to $74 certainly would be on the table. I'm not saying it's going to get there yet. I do think Bitcoin would have to start a larger correction to get down into that zone. Just kind of giving you an idea, if we do get that larger correction, what to look for and where to look for the bounce. For now, all eyes are again on 110. What was likely resistance needs to start acting as support. If it does start acting as support, I think we take another shot at 125 up here. We'll have to wait and see how this plays out. If 110 does break down, though, guys, again, I think a drop down to about down to at least $100 is certainly on the table. And even if 100 doesn't hold, I would expect a decent bounce off that zone if you're looking for a very quick scalp. To the upside, guys, if we do take out this area of, let me go to the weekly because you can see a little bit better. If we do take out this area of resistance here, which it's not right at 125, it's sitting between about 121 and 127. So if we do take out 127 to the upside, guys, if we do have a daily candle opening and closing above 127, I think the next major area of support is right up here between about 140 and 145. I do think it'd be a very quick shot from 127. A decisive break from 127 would, again, there's just a lot of blue sky between about 127 and 140, so certainly would bring about the potential for a nice little trade. I could see us breaking above this zone, coming back down, testing that area, turning into support, and then a nice little scalp right up to about 140 to 145. Keep in mind, though, guys, we are due for a larger correction, and we are showing some bearish divergence on the daily RSI and MACD. So again, possible pulling back to, and again, at least 110, but possibly pulling back to that $100 zone is certainly on the table here. Coming back out to the weekly on Litecoin, guys. Again, weekly chart showing possibly a shooting star here. We're still very, very early in the week here, guys, so I don't want to say we're showing reversal just yet. But, you know, if it were to close right now, obviously this would be a little bit bearish. We'll have to wait and see how this plays out. But again, that's more short term. Longer term, guys, we've now had the 21-week EMA crossing above the 55-week EMA. And the 8-week EMA is above both of them. So we've got the 8 above the 21, above the 55-week EMA. Very, very bullish setup, guys. Very, very bullish setup. So overall, extremely bullish on Litecoin, even if we see a small correction here in the short term. All right, let's finally end with the coin everyone loves to hate, looking at Ripple here. I think last time we spoke, Ripple was operating within what I said looked like the makings of a descending, excuse me, guys, of a descending triangle, really more of a wedge here. Typically, if this was the case, guys, typically this does break to the downside. So, you know, obviously the Bitcoin breaking out, guys, did bode very, very well for XRP. This is certainly bullish. Price did end up coming up. We're looking for a possible area of resistance right here. We saw this was a decent area of resistance right around 41.6 on, let's see, on May the 17th, then again on May the 19th and May the 20th. Price came up, hit that area of resistance, backed off just a little bit, and then exploded right through it, guys. So again, that's a very bullish sign. Price came back down here today, tested what was resistance, has now acted as support, at least as of now. Now let's wait and see how this plays out. But so far, this is fairly bullish on Ripple. Again, we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. But this is, you know, this bodes fairly well for Ripple overall, in my opinion, guys. Now, if we do end up breaking down below 41.6, I do think we're going to come back down again and retest the top of this zone, which is at about 39 cents. Could possibly come down a little bit lower than that, guys, but yeah, somewhere around 39 cents. I'd be looking for a nice little bounce between 39 and 38.5 cents. Be looking for a nice little bounce there, guys, without question. To the upside, guys, we do have this very decent area of resistance between 47 and 50 cents, guys. I do think this is going to be a difficult area to take out. Without question, guys, I do think this is going to be a very, very difficult area to take out, as you guys know. Had a very strong rejection back here on May the 16th, with, again, solidifying this area of resistance. That being said, if Ripple can take out this the top of this zone, which again sits at about 50 cents, guys, we could see Ripple flying very, very quickly up to about 57 to 60 cents, if not higher than that. This is a lid. This is the lid that's kept Ripple down for quite some time. If 50 cents gets taken out decisively, by decisively I mean a daily candle opening and closing above 50 cents, I do think that it's got much. Don't want to put a target on it now, guys, but there's a lot of upside potential if we get a daily candle opening and closing on 50 cents. I think at least 57 to 60 cents would be a good start if Ripple does end up taking that out to the upside. Again, not saying it's going to. Again, looking down below, guys, the base sitting here between about 37 and 39 cents. If we do break below this prior order structure here, which again sits at about 37 cents, I think it could be a very quick drop down to about 31 to 32 cents, this prior order structure down here. I'm not calling for that yet. If Bitcoin does end up breaking down though, guys, that certainly is a real possibility. The big thing that's getting my eye on Ripple though, if I zoom in here to the daily, we can see, all right, zooming in here on the daily chart, guys, we can see that we've got the 50-day moving average about to cross over the 200-day moving average, guys. So obviously we're about to get a golden cross, which would be a very, very bullish sign for Ripple overall. Again, we've already got the 8-day above the 21-day, above the 55-day. Now we've got the 50-day moving average about to cross over the 200-day moving average, golden cross, guys. That would be a very, very bullish sign for Ripple if this does end up playing out. And it looks like it's going to play out, guys. It very likely will play out, barring some anomaly here. So yeah, this is very, very bullish overall for Ripple. Now this doesn't mean just because we get a golden cross doesn't mean we can't have a larger correction, but I do think overall this is a very, very bullish sign for Ripple. And I do think in the short term at least, I do think Ripple has a lot of potential. And I hate to say, again, this is the coin everyone loves to hate. I'm no fan of Ripple myself, but just looking from a pure economic standpoint, guys, I can see Ripple taking off here, especially if we get above 50 cents, guys. So not a bad idea to have Ripple maybe in your back pocket, just to own a little bit, because I do think there's a lot of power behind it, a lot of big names behind it. And again, even though everybody loves to hate it, it certainly can make you, in my opinion, has the potential to make you some decent amount of money here in the short term. Is it going to survive long term? I have my doubts. In the short term, in the next year or two, yeah, I do think Ripple has the potential for a lot of upside. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap things there, guys. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please let me know in the comments section below. As always, would appreciate an upvote if you have enjoyed this content. Until next time, guys, please trade safe, take care of yourselves.